Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the Golden Era of bodybuilding. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here with the first of many videos covering the interviews that I've had over the last year with the great Don Howorth, who became affectionately known throughout the bodybuilding world during the Golden Era of bodybuilding as the Duke of Delts, shown here in this beautiful and iconic photo taken by Golden Era photographer and friend of Don Howorth, Jean Mose. This photo truly captures the reason why Don was known as the Duke of Delts. The width that he achieved in his physique combined with that wonderful waist created a wonderful illusion that is still talked about today and served to inspire many bodybuilders during the late 60s and early 70s. Just look, observe, and admire. Don stands here in a semi-relaxed pose, and those capped delts are just bursting through the screen. I mean, he had it all, didn't he? That square chest, shaped arms, tiny waist, great legs and calves. Wonderful, wonderful symmetry. The true definition of an aesthetic physique. In today's video interview, I interviewed Don about his genetic background and how he started training in his youth when he caught the iron bug. Enjoy. So firstly, let's start the interview. Thanks first of all, Don, for your time again. It's a great pleasure always to speak to you, and I've got a lot of questions for you today. And the first thing I would like to ask is your genetics. I mean, a lot of people have called you the Duke of Delts. Now
that's the thing that Gene hung on me.
Oh, Gene came up with that name, right?
With that, yeah.
Could you explain how is it that you have or had these fantastic genetics to have these barn door wide shoulders that everybody talks about to this day?
Well, I tell you, everybody says, "Oh, you ought to write a book on shoulders, building delts." I said, that's ridiculous because my father was 3 feet wide. My mother was wide. My grandfather was wide. Everybody had great shoulders, great clavicles,
Right.
I never thought of myself, I remember being in a lot of the Mr. Los Angeles, Mr. California, when in the lineup, and everybody would try to get away from me. They'd go down to the other end of the line to get away from me because of my shoulder width, and I never thought that much about it. My main thing was always trying to get muscular. It was hard for me to get muscular.
Right. So you're saying that your parents, basically their genetics had a lot to do with your width. Is that what you're saying?
Well, of course.
I just want to find out now your absolute beginnings to training. What could you please tell me how your training was when you first got the iron bug? Like what did you do? Where was it? At home did you start training or what?
To say that again, how I started, you mean?
Yeah, like what was your first training experience at home?
The fellow down the street here, Arthur Marshall, who I knew, I was already a gymnast, and I started working out with him, and then he sold me the Paramount bar, which had 25-pound plates and some 10s and some 5s, and I worked out. I'm sitting like about 10 feet from where I started working out,
Right, okay.
And doing curls and squats and the basic movements that I read about, so.
Right. So you said that you had already done gymnastics. How long did you do gymnastics at school then for?
When I was in high school, I was a free exercise, tumbling, and high bar.
How many years?
Well, I was a gymnast in high school for 4 years,
4 years, okay. And after that, so what years would you have been when you were doing gymnastics?
What years? Like 50, 52, 53, 54.
And how old were you then?
Well, I was 19 years old when I graduated from high school. But what stopped me from doing gymnastics is because when I started because in high school, I only weighed 138.
Right.
I only 138. So I started gaining weight. It's harder to get off the ground when
Right.
you're,
So
you know.
so you would have started when you were 15 or 16 doing gymnastics?
Well, I was always, well, let's put it this way. When I fell out of the tree in my front yard when I was 16 years old, uh, I got hooked up in the tree on a nail, and my mom told my dad, I wouldn't even repeat what you told him, get me down out of the tree because I was all because where I live now and what it was then was all it was like a swamp and out in the open. You really get yourself in a lot of trouble. Have a lot of fun. You know, swinging out of the trees and so.
Well, you said you trained gymnastics for 4 years. How old were you when you were training gymnastics?
Well, I was in high school, so 17, 18 years old.
Okay, okay.
So I graduated in 1954. I was 19 years old.
And is that when you started then training with the barbell that you got from your mate, or
Right, yeah.
how long did you train at home for with that basic program?
Well, it wasn't, I don't know how long it was. I went from there to Big Tannies. That's what I found out.
Okay.
Plus, I was working when I graduated, I went to work where my dad worked at Northrop Aircraft. There was a couple of guys there that lifted weights, and wow, that's great. And that's right. I said, well, the guy there, I forget what his name was, but he always wore a black shirt and had great arms. So, wow, look at his arms. Oh, great. We want my arms to look like, so,
How
so.
old were you when you started training at Vic Tanny's gym?
Well, I must have been like probably 20 years old, I guess.
Okay.
I trained
And,
there for a couple of years and then went to American Health Studios. And then from there, I finally went up to Pasadena Gym.
right. I thought I would stop the interview at this point to analyze a few points that I think are worth studying. It's interesting to note that Don mentions how wide his parents were, indicating that he attributes his wide clavicles partly due to the genetics inherited from both his parents. It is also interesting to note that according to Randy Roach, author of Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors, Don's father was part Welsh and part Iroquois, I hope I'm saying that right, which most likely contributed to his tremendous shoulder width. When we look at images of the Iroquois people, it is obvious that these native peoples of America did possess wide shoulders. Don, of course, capitalized on this, knowingly or unknowingly, by becoming a gymnast. You can tell that he was inclined towards physical activity from a young age by his stories of climbing trees and then by practicing gymnastics for 4 years. So not only did Don have excellent genetics, but he also had an excellent foundation doing gymnastics for so many years, which is very obvious in this photo that Don personally sent me when he was 16 years of age. And you can clearly see, he doesn't have much muscular bulk, but you can already see how wide his frame is from such a young age, from having started practicing gymnastics as well. Now, if you are interested in learning more about how Don Howorth built his phenomenal physique, the ebook available titled Developing Dynamic Delts, written by his actual friend, Gene Mosé, he was Don's close friend actually, it details some of the routines and exercises that Don used over the years. I would also recommend Steve Reeves' ebook, How I Developed Broad Shoulders, all available on my website www.goldenerabookroom.com. And just to mention, if you do purchase Developing Dynamic Delts, the proceeds do go to Don Howorth. So I do hope you have enjoyed this first interview with Don Howorth, the Duke of Delts, where we have talked about his genetics, and I have no doubt that this factor of genetics played a major role in how he was able to develop such a fantastic width in his frame. However, what will truly blow your mind is the next video interview with Don, where he describes his first meeting with Steve Reeves and how this meeting fundamentally changed his life and pursuit in bodybuilding. If you have enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to support my research, please donate via PayPal, become a patron, visit my website for out-of-print books and courses on old school bodybuilding, and get in touch via email if you wish to collaborate or to pass on your bodybuilding relics, magazines, etc. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. To take full advantage of my collaboration with Old School Labs, please visit their website and choose from their marvelous range of supplements using my code BOOKWORM12. And for an entertaining look at the history of bodybuilding's supplement industry, I would highly recommend watching Subs the Movie, which I have collaborated in, available at Amazon Prime and Vimeo.